Hello everyone, thanks for dropping by. For a start, that's that electric Audi that's been on YouTube videos, the adverts on car videos before it happens. It's a nice shape, nice style, but I wouldn't have one. I don't need a car like that, and I don't need a car that big. And also, round here there's nowhere to charge that, plug it in to charge it up, so even if I had that kind of money, I wouldn't have one of those. Anyway, enough about that. In 1964, 59 years ago, when I was 8 years old, Bob Dylan released a song called The Times They Are A-Changing. Now, this song was in reaction to the social conditions that were happening across America at that time and that were in line with the Vietnam War. Now, Bob maybe not was aware, but he could have had a premonition of what's going to happen in America in the future, because what's the lines of this song are of echoes today. Especially this first verse: "Come gather around people wherever you roam. Admit that the waters around you have grown, that a rising amount of unemployment and debt, and accept that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving," that could be a modern day reference to MGTOW, "you guys looking after themselves, then you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone. The economic reality of America. For the times they are a-changing," which they certainly are in America. Because with reference to this, I found this. Now, Better Bachelor's covered this topic briefly in one of his videos, so I thought I'd do a bit of digging around to see what I could find. As you can see, this is Forbes and 2023 layoff tracker. Spotify Twilio cut staff. Now, this was done on November 16th this year. And top line, has cut 17% of its staff. Spotify has cut 1,500 employees. Twilio 5%. And Broadcom more. Next Energy City layoffs, 300 senior management positions. Some of them could be women, the C-suite types. Bloomberg, roughly 10% of City's senior management, but only a drop in the bucket. The bank giant's 190,000 employees, but it's only the first. And Amazon keeps cutting staff, and they're going to be replacing warehouse staff with robots, I've read. Advanced Auto Parts, 400 people. Chewy, 200 employees at a place called Plannington in Florida. And Disk Network, Nextdoors, Pfizer, OpenSea. Lots and lots of American companies. I'll naturally leave these links below so you can have a look at yourself. Anyway, I won't go down the bottom because I've got more to go through. Now, a lot of these people that are being slashed are DEI workers. You remember when George Floyd accidentally died at the hands of the police because he had a drug overdose and the drugs that he was taking affected his breathing? The companies started employing DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, or as I call it, DI, diversity, inclusion, equity. Officers are facing cuts in the years since George Floyd's murder. What they say: years after the death, blah, blah, blah. Madison Butler is one of the many diversity, equity and inclusion professionals that companies previously brought on their payroll to ensure their business is equitable and acceptable for people of all backgrounds. In other words, box ticking. But in recent months, Butler has found it increasingly hard to find work because she's been laid off. DI positions have been disproportionately hit by layoffs across industries, but particularly at tech companies which have faced financial challenges as sales slowed from the blistering pace attained during the pandemic when everybody was at home. When Butler reached out to DI professionals, other people, this person no longer in the company and they've been laid off. Melody, who is using only her first name for privacy reasons, also a DEI professional, said she was laid off among others in our DEI team within just a few months of hiring. And then it goes down, down, down. DEI begins to disappear. Where is it? There we go. Christian Lydor, a diversity strategist and CEO of Tesla Consulting, told ABC News. In 2020, a lot of organizations reacted to the market, reacting to social events taking place without really having a clear understanding of what DEI is. In other words, they jumped on the bandwagon and how it should be enabled in business. That was when there was plenty of money floating around. When things get rough, these are areas that go. In other words, lots of DEI people have been laid off because, as you know, if you're an American, when times are tough, the American C-suite has no compulsion for slashing jobs. They look to see where all the deadwood is and where they can save costs and balance the budget and the bottom line, which is all that really matters. Now, all these DEI people that are being cut off from tech companies have found this in a thing called blog. Overall, the layoffs of body vote to diversity in tech, not just slowing but actually reversing hard-won gains. I don't know what all these hard-won gains are, because you only got the job because you ticked the right box. So the current wave of technical layoffs has been directly affected more than 153,000 people up to now in 2023, but it's had a disproportionate impact on women, people of colour and people in the United States on H1/B visas, wherever that is. Now, those who lost their jobs in the most recent layoffs, 45% are women, which doesn't sound bad until you remember that less than a third of tech industry roles and less than a quarter of tech leadership roles are filled by women, probably because women are not really suited to tech jobs. That's the role of men. But it might be people of colour, but if an African American is a nerdy African American that's good with computers and working in networks, and he has a talent for technology, he'll be kept on. But an African woman who's not a nerdy woman, African American, and she's only been taken on for a DEI box-ticking job, she's going to be laid off. It says women and people of colour are more likely to have jobs perceived as expendable. As we go back to this, where is it now? Bloody hell. When things get rough, these are areas that go. In other words, DEI is deadwood. And this includes less technical roles and others perceived as less prestigious or further from the product. Field and customer support. Human resources. Mostly populated by women. Communications and marketing. All expendable roles that can be cut. AI is also going to affect all this. The rise of remote working during the pandemic allowed more women and people of colour to enter the tech workforce because remote work made barriers like childcare and unaffordable housing from commuting distance to the office easy to overcome. That was when the money was flowing around. And then it goes on. And that's that article. And the reason is, all this, companies are running out of money. When the money was easy to come by, cheap loans, hardly anything, companies bought a lot of debt, and they used that debt to employ lots where is it now? DEI stuff, people, positions. But because the money is now running out and they can't pay the debts off, they're drastically looking to cut costs. Zombie stocks, insolvent borrowers up to your ears in debt. The corporate on debt and the walking debt are just some of the numerous terminologies for companies in a state of zombification, perpetually teetering on the brink of extinction. And then it goes, zombie firms are smaller, less productive, more leverage. That means they got more debt. Invest less in physical and intangible capital and shrink their assets, debt and employment. And employment is this lot. And central banks may be raising interest rates in a bid to cool off the economy as time may be running out for zombie companies, and many believe the prolonged stretch of bankruptcies is a likely scenario in months ahead. That means more and more women are going to be laid off because women are not really going to work in the technical companies because they're not really suited for technical work, unlike men are. According to Walking Dead, zombie companies are increasing worldwide. Kearney draws upon approximately 4.5 million data records from around 70,000. It tells you about it. Drilling down, issue of zombie companies, insolvent borrowers who receive financial help from their creditors to remain alive is global. Now, this has only just started, people. I found this in Bloomberg. Bankruptcy weekend blitz is just the beginning for zombie companies. 7 firms filed Chapter 11 between Sunday and Monday as rate hikes take toll. Now, this was done on May 16th this year. As you know, Vice has gone. This filed for bankruptcy. One fall was Athenex on Sunday. Biorama Company issues a statement declaring it is bankrupt. Then came Kindle Fenwal, followed by Vice Media, Evervision Healthcare. All these liberal, left-wing liberal types, I don't need no men, they're all on the unemployment line now. To some market observers, a clear sign of movement that might be remembered for years to come. The long-awaited cull of companies drowning under onerous debt loads has begun. Dropping back to Bob Dylan's song. Admit the waters around you have grown, and accept that it's soon you'll be drenched to the bone. Where are we? The survival was only made possible by the uber low interest rates that marked most of this century. So when rates began to soar last year, the fate was sealed. And then it drops down. Assets, liabilities, that's how much they got, that's how much they owe. See? They got no money. Up to their ears in debt. Same. Division Healthcare. Assets 1 to 10 billion. Liabilities 1 to 10 billion. Home security companies Montionics is among those who went bankrupt in recent days and holds a special distinction of having exited from another Chapter 11 bankruptcy just a few years ago. In other words, he went from one crisis, just managed to hang on, then the second crisis sent him under. And then we have graphs and more yada yada yada. And there we go. May the 1st, and then the 5th of the 8th, that's 5th of August, and then it shot up. And that's that. Now, this isn't going to end any soon. This is just a start. As you can see, this is Reuters full of zombies, why corporate failures could surge in 2024. This was done October 6th this year. The debt-laden companies across Europe, Middle East and Africa face a $500 billion refinancing scramble in the first half of 2024, a challenge that could kill off many zombie businesses, even though the unexpected peak in rates could bring some relief. Once more we get back, what's it again, to this. DEI and other such deadwood, that's going to be slashed away. An analyst of manufacturing accountancy shows the value of company loans and bonds maturing in the first 6-month period is higher than any equivalent period between now and the end of 2025. A crunch is looming, financial industry experts said, with many weaker, smaller businesses seeking new private loans, in other words, more debt, and public debt deals, sweetheart deals with the government, just as government borrowing costs, which influence loan rates, are soaring globally. This is just the start of the storm, people. Failure to secure cash they need at rates they can afford could lead to insolvencies and layoffs. And then it goes on about it, companies facing a financial crunch, and yada yada yada. Now, this has had a knock-on effect, all these companies going bankrupt. The next crisis was empty office buildings. Now this, as you can see, is the Atlantic, and this was done on June 7th this year, 6 months ago. About to cancel his Zoom meetings, Jamie Dillon had enough. JP Morgan Chase CEO expected that sometime in September, October, the company's office would look like it did before. 2 years later, his company's slashing its Manhattan footprint by a fifth. And it goes during the first 3 months in 2023, US office vacancy topped 20% for the first time in decades. Now, if you live in San Francisco, Dallas and Houston, no doubt you've seen empty office blocks. Vacancy rates are as high as 25%. So a quarter of the office blocks in San Francisco, Dallas and Houston are empty. Now, these office blocks all take money to run. The guys who are electrical engineers, janitors, plumbers, the maintenance staff, they'll still have a job. But all these office staff, all these women, all these people with degrees and that, they'll be on the unemployment line trying to look for another job. These figures understate the severity of the crisis because they only cover spaces that are no longer leased. Most office leases were signed before the pandemic and have yet to come up for renewal. With a third of all office leases expiring in 2026, as I said, this crisis is only just starting. We can expect higher vacancies, specifically lower rents, or both. Well, higher vacancies will make more empty office blocks and lower rents because the people who own the office blocks need income coming in, otherwise they're going to start going bankrupt and going out of business. While we wrestle with the effects of distributed work, and artificial intelligence could drive office demand even lower. And then it goes down. Current landscape is drastically different. High vacancy rates doubled. Interest rates nearly $1.5 trillion in loans due for repayment by next year, by 2025. If nobody's got any money, how are they going to pay that? By defaulting now, landlords leverage their remaining influence to advocate for loan extension or a bailout. No doubt they're hoping for a Biden bailout. Banks have many reasons to worry. Rising interest rates have devalued other assets on their balance sheets, especially government bonds, leaving them valuable to bank runs. In other words, there'll be banking collapse. We got the Silicon Valley Bank that went belly up. First Republic and Signature also went belly up. And then it goes on about it. Yada, 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 yada. Far too much to go through in one video. Now, this is not just happening in New York. This is right across America, because I found this. Office buildings, the rise of empty office space. Now, this is a site called Oconometry. This was done October 2nd, 2023. Now, if you scroll down, some examples of cities hard hit by zombie buildings are New York, 40 to 50% relative decline. San Francisco, 50 to 60%. Washington, D.C., 40 to 50% decline. Chicago, 35 to 45%. And Los Angeles, 45 to 55%. Now, if you are an American and live in any of those cities, you've seen all those office buildings lying empty. The 10 largest US markets, more than 50% of office space sat unoccupied in June 2023. Now, all these buildings, they have to have people in there producing revenue to run the buildings. Otherwise, it's just an empty shell that's sucking in money, because all the buildings still need to be maintained, electric, etc., and things need to keep running, the plumbing, etc. Otherwise, they'll start going into a derelict state. The American cities, if they're not careful, they could all go the same level as Detroit. Over here in Britain, we had somewhat similar with the retail chains and the towns across Britain, and we used to call them bubble towns. In other words, the town centre is empty, no shops open, but all the shopping is in retail parts on the outside of town. That could happen across America. All the American cities could start to vacate, and things could move out of the cities, which has all sorts of ramifications across the country. There are also certain buildings more at risk of becoming zombies. These buildings are specifically older cubicle office buildings that lack modern amenities and were occupied by industries that do not have to work on site. And then that's the thing. Now, what's all this to do with feminism and MGTOW? Well, I found this. You no longer need a college degree to work at these 7 companies. Now, as you know, most colleges across America, they're taking on more girls and women than they are guys. Guys in America tend to go into trade schools because they've seen how toxic the college environment has become for them. Now it goes down, college degree requirements have locked out millions of Americans from good paying jobs. But with the present industrial state and cutting out DEI jobs, persistent labour shortages are causing more and more companies to drop degree requirements. In other words, you don't need to go to college to get into a job. You just need to be good at what you do. If, there again, guys have a habit and a tendency to pick up technology better than women. So guys will be taking on these tech companies before women will. These 7 companies in tech, finance and aviation are leading the charge. Then it says you used to need a college degree to work at these companies, not anymore. And then it goes, Tesla, Elon Musk and Apple CEO Tim Cook have questioned the need for college degrees, and more companies are realizing degree requirements put them in a competitive disadvantage. Now, you've also got the thing, all these colleges are teaching alphabet stuff, diversity, equity and inclusion bullshit, and they're not really doing them any good, because they're coming out of college after 4 years with a mountain of debt, and they know sod all about the way of the world or how to get a job or anything except the bullshit that they've been taught in colleges. Now, a number of companies have scrapped degree requirements to widen their net and diversify their workforce. Between 2017 and 2019, employers cut degree requirements for 46% of middle skill and 31% of high skill jobs, which have been pronounced in finance, business management, engineering, healthcare occupation. The think tank Burning Glass Institute reported in 2022. The vast majority of these degree assets are expected to be permanent. So companies are realizing that there's drastically changes happening, and they're scrambling to get people with relatively physical skills, in other words, merit, and not these people that coming out of university with a piece of paper that won't do them any good at all. These companies are tapping over 70 million workers nationwide who have obtained skill and experience outside 4-year colleges. That could be trade school. In other words, what guys are mostly going in. Whether through community college, military service, boot camps, or working on the job, as estimated by the Workforce Development non-profit community at work. In other words, guys who got merit, got their hands dirty, they're going to be taken on before somebody with a piece of paper. These are 7 companies who dropped degree requirements and are leading the skill-based change in the job market. Then IBM, Accenture, Okta, Dell, Bank of America, Google, Delta Airlines. And as I said, if that lad there was a nerdy African American, good at computers, he knows how to write software, networking and that, he'll get a job. Well, that girl there who only knows DEI and alphabet stuff, she won't get taken on, but he will, even though they're both African Americans. Now, there's one avenue which is rapidly expanding in America, and that is the sex trade. There are 1 million escorts in America, both men and women, the vast majority of women. Now, escorting in America makes $14.6 billion per year. Now, this is, as you can see, Statistica, and this is interesting. The US porn industry that makes 11,000 movies a year. In 2023, the pornographic website market in the US is projected to surpass $1 billion in value, with an annualized market growth of 12.6%. By 2023, the online porn market in America is estimated to experience a growth of approximately 58% compared to 2018. Now, porn is one of the things which a lot of women are going to go into, and the escort industry, because they don't have any other talent. All these strong independent women, they finding that they're not strong and independent anymore, and the only thing that they've got is the bodies, because they can't get a guy because they're so toxic and so picky that they're gonna find it hard to make ends meet. So I can expect a vast majority of these women laid off from these companies to either go into porn or go into the escort trade. The average cost for an escort in America is about $300 per hour. So if she can get about 10 guys, punters, fools, going, that's $3,000 per week. She's not going to want to go working in a McDonald's serving fries. But then again, McDonald's are also working at automation, so that will be another crisis of, where is it now? People being laid off, and as a lot of low skill economies are also people of colour. Now, dropping back to Bob Dylan, did he know something about America in the future in 2023? He's getting old now, but this song still has relevance today as it did back then. I'll try and find some more on this zombie economy that's coming, but this is just the start of it, people, and the times really are a-changing, and within the next 7 years, the 52% of American women are going to be childless and single, but they might also be all unemployed. I think I'm way past the 20 minutes now, so I'll wrap it up. You know the routine, people, like, dislike, comment, etc. Completely up to you. But Bob there, he must have had a vision of what America could be like in the next few years. That's why he wrote that song. Anyway, that's all for this one, people. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe, as I said. Completely up to you. So until next Monday, bye-bye.